the 3 detrimental mistakes that beginner filmmakers make and how to avoid them. What's happening, filmmakers? It's George VK. Now, when it comes to mistakes, we all make them, right? We're human beings, and especially if we're beginner filmmakers, we're going to make a lot of mistakes. Now, it probably bodes well to listen to some seasoned filmmakers in order to try and avoid making the same mistakes. This is how you can truly compress decades into days, because you're avoiding having to learn by trial and error. You actually learn and then you avoid. So mistake number 1, especially when it comes to film races and filmmaking competitions, the thing that I have learned from the past is to keep your crew intimate. And what do I mean by that? Oftentimes, as filmmakers, we're in silos, right? Especially if we are just starting out, we don't know many people. I went to film school, so I had the privilege of actually knowing and getting to know a lot of other filmmakers that were trying to do the same thing as me. So we would crew on each other's film sets and be able to have that sort of favor to ask then filmmakers to come and help us out. So the very first film race that I participated in was a 24-hour film race. This is where you have to write, shoot, and edit a film from scratch without having done any prior work within 24 hours. That sounds crazy, especially if you've never done one. But for those of you that have had experience, you know how challenging and how stressful it can be. The number 1 mistake that I made on that first film race was to build and gather a crew of about 15 people. This was the first experience that I had with a filmmaking competition of this sort. So I figured, let me just throw all of my connections, all of the possible resources that I have at it, and see what comes out, right? And we had 15 people meet up for the brainstorming session, which was way too much, even though it was a good brainstorming session to get everybody's opinions, but it starts to get convoluted and you start to really sidetrack, because when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, the steak doesn't cook right. For a lack of a better analogy, I had 15 crew members, and the one positive thing that came out of that, I felt like it sort of turned into this really well-oiled machine. Everybody had something to do, but that came from prior experience of knowing how to actually delegate work, right? And there was one moment I remember when I look over to the film set, and I was just standing off to the side speaking with the director, and things were just happening. Like everything was chugging along. People were working, moving things left and right, resetting for the next shot. As long as people know what to do and what their responsibilities are, they will take ownership of that role and run with it. But having so many crew members, there were so many times during that film shoot where a lot of people were just sitting around with nothing to do. And, they weren't getting paid because everybody's contributing their time and their effort towards the common goal of winning this film race. We ended up taking, a few awards, so it wasn't for nothing. But the mistake that I truly made was not keeping the crew intimate and small enough in order to really spread the talent across the proper roles and be able to communicate better in a very fast fashion. When you have to write, shoot, and edit a film in 24 hours, you want to make sure that everybody is at their highest level of skill, ability, and quite frankly, excitement for the project. It is your job as the director, as the producer, as the, captain of the ship to get people excited so that they take ownership of their role and they truly put forth the effort that you need them to. And if you have a crew of 15 people, depending on the type of project you're doing, then that excitement and that effort definitely starts to get spread thin across the board. Number 2 mistake to avoid is simply making compromises. When we are dealing with creative choices and the creative craft of filmmaking, it's very important to make very intentional and purposeful decisions. And the choices that we make, to have them so concrete and definite that there's absolutely no room for compromise. Now, obviously, according to your schedule, your timing, and your budget, you're going to have to compromise. But when it comes to creative decisions that you have control over, do not compromise on those simply because you feel like you're wasting the time or you're wasting the energy. If you made those decisions in pre-production, in your script writing phase, stick to them. But know that you can always adapt and adjust and pivot in order to match the budget or the time frame that you have. Number 3, biggest mistake that I've seen beginner filmmakers make, and I'm guilty of it as well, is investing too much money, too much time into the filmmaking toys, the gear, right? If you have listened to the Filmmaker Secrets podcast, episode number 1, I talk about tool trapping and the idea of getting too in the weeds of what the tools that we're using are. What are the cameras that we're going to be shooting on? What's the light? What is the location? Whenever you start getting bogged down in those details of the technical aspect of filmmaking, then the story aspect tends to fall on the back burner, which is not good because story is the most important aspect of your film production, and that needs to always stay at the forefront of your film project. So focus less on the camera, the toys, the filmmaking gear. Focus more on the story, and the rest will follow. So there you have it, filmmakers. 3 mistakes that I've seen beginner filmmakers make and how to avoid them. If you like that, then you are going to love my Cine Racing Challenge. This is a 7-day filmmaking competition where your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to write, shoot, and edit a short 60-second film in just 7 days for your one chance to win with over $10,000 in prizes. So head over to cineracing.com. That's cineracing.com to get registered. Spots are filling up fast and the timer is ticking before the next Cine Racing Challenge launches. So be sure to head over to cineracing.com right now to get registered. I'll see you over there.